feel like if God wanted to make me mentally stable, he would have made me mentally stable. But he didn't. So lock your fucking doors.
I seen the truth in the crack. In the mirror, it split back. Black dress, blueprints, cold trace. He lied twice, then lost face. Terror on the table, I pulled that weight. 3 of swords, that's a sealed fate. Grandma said, baby, read the room. So I read the room, then I read the tune. Finger on the card, I know the sign. Broken watch, muddy, imperfect crime. He tried to hide in a borrowed smile. I found the blood in the folds of the bile. Shadows taller when I step in.
When you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. That's a saying I'm pretty sure we've heard at least once in our lifetime, man. There are plenty of sayings and metaphors that people have came up with throughout humanity's existence that can literally give you a life lesson in a sentence. But that particular saying, when you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, has stuck with me since grade school. Tonight we're going to talk about history. We're going to talk about spirituality, and we're going to talk about symbolism. Because if our people, when I say our people, I mean Black people. This ain't about racism tonight. This ain't about none of that. This is a history lesson and a lesson on symbolism so that we as a people are not doomed to repeat the same stuff over and over and over again. Carmelo Anthony was previously found guilty and charged with first-degree red rum. Okay? And I did a reading on, well, not necessarily a reading. I'm not going to lie and say I did a reading. I just pulled a spread. And when I saw the spread, I said, oh, Lord, I'm not doing it. I'm not about to get up here on Drewski's internet today and deal with all of this. But basically, I can give you a quick breakdown of the spread that I pulled. I knew the situation was not going to go in his favor, but he was also innocent. The spread suggested that a Knight of Wands, a Leo, a young athletic Leo male was the reason for the altercation. Now, when I first pulled the spread, I did not know that the young man that lost his life was a Leo. I just found that out maybe 2 days ago. But it was basically saying that, yeah, they were, the young man, the athletic Leo man was the aggressor. But the trial still wasn't going to go in his favor. Although he was innocent, it still wasn't going to go in his favor. Because there are certain things that are put in place. And it wasn't that because he didn't have a fair trial or anything like that. Which I'm pretty sure there's a couple of people that do feel like he did not have a fair trial at all. What I'm going to say is, this was deeper than that. If you pay attention to the jerseys that these young men are wearing, and if you have a mind of discernment, and if you can go from being surface level to thinking deeper, then you already caught the play. But let's get into it. You see Mr. Anthony wearing a jersey that says Centennial. Centennial means a centennial or centenary refers to a 100th anniversary or celebration, making the completion of a century. It is used as a noun to describe the milestone itself and as an adjective to relate to a period of 100 years. Okay. Then you have memorial. You have Mr. Metcalf wearing a memorial jersey. Memorial means something designed to preserve the memory of a person or a historical event. It can take many tangible forms or intangible forms, such as a monument, a ceremony, or a written tribute, and serves as a focal point for remembrance, grief, or a celebration. Did you catch that? Because if not, I'm going to break it down some more. Centennial, 100 years. Plies had a song way back when, and it was called 100 Years. If you are familiar with that song by the artist Plies, when I was coming up, Plies was pretty popular, but he's neither here nor there. He had a song called 100 Years, and he emphasized on the fact that, a black man or a black person could do something, and get 100 years for it. Could be the smallest thing to the biggest thing, 100 years, okay? But he went into more depth with that song. And like I said, this is not about racism tonight. This is a history lesson for my people, okay? It seems to me that there was something that wanted to be preserved in memoriam for 100 years, okay? And when I say that, I mean that in the most respectful manner, okay? 100 years ago, there were a couple of situations that weren't favorable to our people 100 years ago. Let me tell you about one of them. October 8th, 1926. There were 3 family members that were literally drugged out of their home because they were protecting themselves from a raid, a sheriff's raid, back when prohibition was this big thing. You couldn't have liquor, couldn't sell liquor, couldn't drink liquor, okay? So there was a family that was under scrutiny, the Lomans family, that was under scrutiny about sneaking liquor during the prohibition. So the sheriff and 2 of his buddies went and decided they were going to raid the Lomans' house. Okay? They didn't find any liquor in these folks' house. But the Lomans were in their own home, not knowing what was going on. The sheriff coming there with guns and chaos. So the sheriff ended up losing his life inside their home, inside the Lomans' home. The Lomans is a black family. Of course, the sheriff, he's a white man. His buddies, they're white as well. Okay. So they come in and they're going off. They're going off. And the Aiken County Sheriff, he decided that he was going to go in there and he was just going to do what he wanted to do, and ended up losing his life in these people's home. When the rest of the town heard about this, they were mortified. They were mad. But these people were just protecting themselves. They didn't have any liquor in the home. They don't know why the sheriff is there in the first place. He just, because, you the sheriff, you can just come in people's house and, warrant or no warrant, just come doing what you do. Bertha who was 27 years old at the time. Damon and Clarence Lowman were their names. Damon was 21 and Clarence was 14 years old. Okay. This was a brother, a sister, and a first cousin. They were arrested. And later on the 7th and on the 8th of October, they were taken from their cells by an angry white mob. And they were herded into vehicles and driven on the outskirts of Aiken, where there were almost 1,000 white people there waiting on them. Several hundred cars waiting. And they were ordered to get out of the vehicles. They were shot down by a multitude of bullets, you guys. Damon and Clarence, cousin and brother, Bertha's brother and cousin, they both died instantly. But Bertha did not. She did not die so quickly. She was actually trying to crawl towards the bushes while she was injured. And one of the Aiken County sheriffs, Nolie Robinson, decided they were going to shoot Miss Bertha in her head to let it go, to finish it off. That's one account of black people minding their business and white people just coming and doing what they want to do. Another account is the Sweet trials from 1925 to 1926. Notice how I'm saying in that 100-year mark, the centennial. 1925 to 1926. In September of 1925, Dr. Sweet moved into an all-white neighborhood with his family in Detroit, Michigan. Later on that night, a mob of over 500 plus white people showed up in front of these people's house and started throwing rocks and threatening to pull them out of their house and lynch them and things of that nature. So from the inside of the Sweet home, a gunshot rung out. And one of the people outside, one of the white people outside, was shot and injured and ultimately died from their injuries. So you know how that went. They come taking this man out of his home, putting him on trial. Oh, you're guilty, you shouldn't have did that. But this man was acting in self-defense. You shouldn't have did that, right? But in this particular case here, in the Sweet trials, he had a very, very well-known white lawyer that ultimately stood before a jury, and the all-white jury of 12 men found him, Mr. Sweet, innocent. So there's one instance of being able to be found innocent, and you are actually defending yourself. But his innocence did not come with peace. They were outraged. They wanted this man through. They wanted him gone. But Mr. Sweet was able to live his life out. He was able to live his life out. In another instance in Florida, 1925 to 1926, a black man, he was basically, minding his business. And he was working one day, and he basically was thirsty. He just needed something to drink. And he was walking up to this house. He didn't know who was in the house. He didn't know if it was a black person's house or white person's house. He was just thirsty. He just wanted some water. As he walked into the house, this white woman lived there. And she noticed that he was walking up to the house, and she gets up and she starts hollering and yelling and screaming and just, hey, there's a black man coming to my house, you know? And that became an issue for this man. He took off running because he was like, I'm not trying to do anything to you. I just wanted some water. He took off running, you guys. And when he took off running, a mob of white people started running behind him, shooting at him, throwing things at him. He was injured. For fun and for sport, at one point, they let him just run. Because, just to think he was getting away, but they eventually caught up to him. Beat him and lynched him for asking for water. He didn't even get to ask for the water. In the 1920s, especially the 1920s, there were over 2,000 lynchings. 80-something of those lynchings were black women. They didn't discriminate whether you were a man, child, woman. As long as you was black and you looked like you was doing something you ain't had no business doing, you will be hung. That takes me back to right now in the present. Right now in the present, where we're looking at right now with the Carmelo Anthony case, with Cyrus's case. Because in the 90s, there was a young girl, I believe her name was Lakeisha. I'm not sure if that was her name. Let me look her up. I'm actually looking up these things as I go to speak with you guys about it. In the let's see here. Her name was Latasha Harlins. She died March 16, 1991. Latasha was just walking in the store, child. She was just minding her business, okay? It was one of the most well-known cases, okay? She was 15 years old when she was killed by a Korean woman named Soon Ja-doo. I think that's her name, okay? In South Central Los Angeles, okay? She basically, they said that the woman accused Latasha of shoplifting $1.79 79-cent bottle of orange juice. She had $2 in her hand to pay for it. Baby girl had $2 in her hand to pay for it. But this woman saw a black child and just automatically assumed, just like that man wanted some water, and this white woman automatically assumed he was coming to attack her. This woman automatically assumed this baby was about to steal from her. And she unalives this baby and gets off. Basically with manslaughter. And only sentenced with probation. Didn't do a lick of jail time. Cyrus goes into the store. He goes into the cooler. He don't even have the water. He just got a piece on him, Didn't go in the store to rob the store. Didn't even pull the piece out. It's just heavy in his pocket. The Chinese man and his son believes that this baby done stole a bottle of water. Hawk him down. The young man, Cyrus, I imagine, is scared because he's like, why y'all chasing me? And he turned around and pulled the piece out like, hey, chill out. You chasing me. And from what was told by the son, the dad told Cyrus, hey, put the gun down, and then boom, just shoot him. And he gets off. But you chased this baby. outside of your store. You leave your store unattended for anybody to go in at this point and steal. If we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it, you guys. This particular situation that happened with Carmelo and the young Austin guy is a portrait of what's been happening for years and years and years in America. This is an example of white people coming over and saying, hey, you don't belong here. You can't do this. You can't sit here. You can't live here in our neighborhood. And then the black people have to defend themselves. Like, wait, what? And then somehow it gets put on the black person as being the aggressor. It gets put on the black person as being the chaos agent, the tyrant, the bully. But we have seen throughout throughout the years that white people just can come in a space and basically say, hey, I feel threatened. And if they produce enough tears or enough, lies that sound believable, then people that look like me and you, black people, we don't get much of a fair dog to fight with, We don't get pretty much nothing fair to fight with. And again, this is not about racism. This is a history lesson for my people. And the symbolism behind it, because this particular court case was supposed to bring about martial law. Black people were supposed to get mad, just like they did in 2020 for what happened to George Floyd and what happened to Sandra Bland and what happened to Michael Brown, all of those lynching with bullets and lynching with privilege and a badge. This particular case was supposed to blow it out the water. It was supposed to blow this case up to a point where we were supposed to act a fool. And it was supposed to have us look like the victims all the time, the crying victims. Oh, racism doesn't exist anymore. It's not this, it's not that. But just catch the play is what I'm asking of you all tonight. Just catch the plays. When y'all see these big, high-profile cases with one race against another race, know that there is a play involved. A lot of the times. When it gets that high profile, know that there is a play involved. We like to call those red flag events. There are people that, like I said, belong to organizations and things that I'm just not going to get into. But those are the plays, you guys. And that's what America likes to do, allegedly. The government allegedly likes to play on the heartstrings of the people. And because they know that there are still people that are racist out here, they know that those particular cases can really get emotional responses. Sometimes those emotional responses can stem and go left. And that's all I wanted to come on tonight to talk to you guys about, was that I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying don't stand up for what's right. Don't stand up for when you see blatant unfairness against another race of people, whether it's Black people, Mexicans, Asians, hell, Caucasians. When you see something like this go on, before you react, think about it first. Because in certain situations, we cannot control how somebody's going to react. You cannot start a fire in front of a person and then try to dictate how that person is going to put that fire out. You can't pour gasoline around a person and be like, yeah, you can put the fire out, but you can't use water. You can't use dirt. You can't use your spit. You can't use your piss. Oh, but you can put it out. Let me see you put it out. That's not how that works. And that has been done to not only Black people, but other races for centuries. Learn to play, you guys. Learn to play. And as always, you guys, peace and blessings, love and light.
Hey, I seen the truth in the crack. In the mirror, it split back. Black dress, boot prints, cold trace.